Hey folks, welcome to Lab 4 for NR 2430. This lab, you will notice, is a little different. You will have a lot less instruction. So what I did to help you with that is created something in Brightspace called Tips and Tricks. So let me share my screen here and I'll show you where it is. Let's see. Under Module 4, which is where we're at for our February 9th, starting tomorrow. We have all these cool readings to do, as well as Chapter 8 and Chapter 10 in the price book. If you scroll down, I posted a bunch of different lectures I'm going to go over for this week. There is something at the bottom called Lab 4 Tips. And if you click on it, it's a PDF of why we're doing this lab, what kind of skills you're going to be able to have, what are you expected to do, you're going to earn, how you earn full credit, if you how will you not lose points. This is going to feel challenging, okay, because we're not giving you a step-by-step this time. It's missing some pieces, and it's not to, harm you or make it hard. It's to help you get used to looking up things on your own. So what you can do is go through this checklist to make sure that you've met all the pieces that you're supposed to do, okay? And you can go back to previous labs 1, 2, and 3 to help you find how to do certain things that aren't laid out for you in lab 4. All right, so I'm going to close this. I have my, let's see, I just want to make sure my screen is sharing properly. Yep, okay, cool. I have my lab manual open over here. Lab 4, queries, attribute tables, and map layouts. Awesome. We're going to look at Vermont towns, I think, for this one. We're going to be creating a new data type. Remember, there's different kinds: text, integer, and floating point. Then we're going to construct those equations like what we practice in class, and we're going to join tabular data. So all those things that we've been doing by hand in class, you're going to now do them in GIS. So remember to save your project every few minutes. Like I usually do it anytime I do something, or I just set my alarm for every 5 to 10 minutes. You just don't want to, lose it. So go ahead and download your data. You know how to do that. I'm not going to walk you through that step. You can open up your quiz on the side and let's go ahead and look at our data. So I'm going to open up where my data is. Let's see, 2430. Lab 4. Okay, so your data should be downloaded into a zip. You're going to unzip it. Then it's going to look like this. So you have geology, vegetation, Vermont county boundaries, and zip code boundaries. So these are the 4 things in here. You do have one table, which is Vermont USDA zip codes. Let's see. It's right here. See how it says .csv. As you can see, again, there's a whole bunch of files in here. Some of them are .shp, some of them are PRJ. So these all go together, right? So I've already unzipped my folder. I'm going to close this. What am I supposed to do next? So now I need to open up GIS and start a new map, right? So I'm going to open up GIS, my computer, working from home, so it's a little bit different, but go ahead and open it up how you do it, whether it's through VDI, it's at school. All right, I'm gonna let Pro open up nice and slow, of course, because we're recording. I'm gonna create a new project. I'm gonna name it Lab 4. I'm gonna name it Lab 4 Spring of 26 because that's how I organize my files, but you should be naming it just Lab 4. So start a new map, name my project. I'm going to navigate to where, right? These are the things you need to remember. So I'm going to navigate to where I keep my GIS stuff. Oops. I'm going to go to Lab 4 and I'm going to keep it there. Okay, in Lab 4. Okay, go ahead and save it. I'm going to be switching back and forth so that I can see my lab manual. So the first thing I have to do is, all my data is in the downloaded folder within my lab 4 already. So if I go over here to the right and I do the drop down on folders, it should say lab 4. And because I connected it, it should be in there, but maybe I didn't connect it properly. That can happen. So I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to go to my lab 4 and highlight my downloaded folder. Then I'm going to go back in here and look at that. There's all the stuff I need. So in the Word document, it says to add all the layers into my geodatabase. So remember, there's 2 ways to do this. You can drag them onto your map, then add them to your geodatabase up here, and then set the source, or you can just right click, import feature class. So feature class to geodatabase is the geoprocessing tool. You've used this a few times. I'm going to take a minute. All right, so my input features, because I don't have anything sitting on my map, I have to go look for them. So I'm going to look in where I keep my GIS stuff. Mine's a little bit different than yours, okay? So first I'm going to do, or maybe I'll just shift and select all 4. Yeah, that would be way faster. Cool. So I want my output geodatabase, yes, to be my lab 4 geodatabase. I'm going to double check. That's what I want, and I'm going to run it. So it puts those shape files into the geodatabase and creates feature classes. So now when I drop down in my geodatabase, cool. So the last one I have is a table. So let me right click, import. Oh, cool. Look, I can import a table. Same concept, open up the file, I grab. It should automatically go here, but if it doesn't, go back to your download data, grab the CSV, make sure it goes into the correct geodatabase, and click run. Awesome. So now your data is in there, and I'm just clicking back and forth. I have my catalog open, and catalog pane, not catalog view. I'm going to close these folders because I don't want to look at them and accidentally mess around with them. Now I'm just working in my geodatabase. I'm going to save my file so that I don't lose the work that I just did. All right, what am I supposed to do next? Okay, I imported everything, use the same names for all the files. Oh, except that one. Oh no. Minus the file extension. Yeah, so that's fine and it's in there. Okay, cool. If there's not already one present, yeah, there's, oh, we want to change the base map to light gray. All right, we did that last week. So I go to map, base map, light gray canvas, change something. So I'm going to click save. Since it does it, see how clean this is. That's why light gray is really popular for projects like this. Cool, you already did it. Now you're on part 2. So now we're going to look at queries. So we're park managers in California, and we're looking at developing a brush clearing plan as part of a larger wildfire management program that the park is going to implement. This is actually real. This is what happens. You need to identify all the stands of brush because certain types of plants light on fire a lot faster than others. California has a couple plants that literally have basically what we use as heating oil. It's a similar thing, and it lights on fire super fast, and they just look like little torches. It's crazy, and they burn and burn and burn. Okay, so we're going to rename the map pane vegetation because of 2, saving all the data. So it says some of the data is in Vermont while others are in California because of the 2 different geographic locations. Saving all the data loaded in the same map pane is less than ideal. So let's call it vegetation and then add the feature class. Okay, so first we're going to change this. I'm going to slow click, call it vegetation. Vegetation. Am I spelling correctly? Tired today. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my vegetation feature class. Cool. Okay, I don't really care what it looks like right now because I'm not really sure what we're doing yet. I'm going to use the feature class to identify the number of polygons where the fuel model, fuel_model value is brush. Okay, So we're gonna select by attribute, right? All right, so right click, attribute table. Let's see what the attribute table looks like. So I know what I'm doing. Fuel model. Okay, cool. So I can click select by attributes here. I can go up to the top. If the map ribbon's open, I click select by attributes here. Same thing. So I want vegetation where the field is fuel model is equal to, what was it? Brush. Okay, cool. So I'll go back to that. Use the drop down. I do not type things in. Brush, I click apply. Click OK. Looks like there are 17 of 66 selected. I think that's what the manual said is correct. Yep, cool. Question 1. The area of the largest brush polygon is X square meters. Please round to the nearest whole number. For example, if the value is less than 1.5, round down to 1. If it's greater or equal to 1.5, round up to 2. Okay, so how do I figure out the area of the largest brush polygon? Okay, so I go back to GIS. I scroll over to the right and I look at shape area. So, there's only 17, but what if there was like 100 or something? So I think what I can do is right click, visualize statistics. Yep, pretty sure I can do that. I'm gonna drag the chart properties up. Let's see, maximum. Just tell me which one. Oh, that's the problem with using this. So we're gonna use that. That was not what I need. So how do I figure out which one is the biggest one? I could just look, right? I could just go down here, do sort descending or something like that, right? So right click, sort descending. Okay, so the biggest one is this one, 180470, and it is brush and the polygon. It was just asking for the square meters. So area is in square meters. So there's your answer, right? Make sure you round properly. Okay. Clear the previous selection. So you can either hit the clear button here on the attribute table or the clear button up here. Either way, clear it. We're not going to mess around with that. You don't want to leave things selected because then it will screw up your stuff. So now we're going to go to select by attributes. And we want to do vegetation stands where an ignited fire would spread really fast. So the attribute is rate of spread or rate of SP, describes how fast it's likely to spread based on a particular type of vegetation. The higher the value, the more rapidly a fire will spread. Okay, cool. So basically going to select all the polygons from vegetation where the rate of spread is greater than 250. So how do I do that? First, I need to select by attributes. Rate of spread is equal to, no, it's probably greater than equal to. I think that's it, right? Let's see, and it's 250. So it's not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than. Okay, so I just want is greater than 250. Type that in here. I'm going to click apply, click OK. Looks like we have a handful of them selected. What am I supposed to do next? Question 2. There are how many selected records? It tells you at the bottom. Okay. Multiple criteria queries. Suppose you're interested in the rate of fire spread on steep slopes. Fire runs uphill. Just as a thing, if you didn't already know that. You've already identified the polygons where there's a high rate of spread, but how can you identify which polygons also have steep slopes? Okay, so in the previous section, we selected the polygons with high rate of spread values, and now we could apply that criterion to the existing query. If you cleared the previous selection, you do step 8 again. So we haven't cleared that yet. So now I'm going to do select by attributes. Okay, and I want to look at slope. So slope class, let's see. And I go back to the manual here. Slope class is greater than 20. The reason we're doing it like this, select by attributes, slope class is greater than 20. Okay, and instead of a new selection, I'm going to select a subset from the current selection. And what does that mean? It means because I already have the high rate of spread selected, now I want to take out the ones that have a higher slope class than 20 of that selection. Okay. Remember when I asked you, everybody with brown hair stay standing. Now, if you have brown hair and white tennis shoes on, okay, same kind of concept. All right, apply and okay. And now we have 5 of 66. If you already cleared it, you can go back and do it a little bit different. You can also select by attributes and do both things at the same time, where you could select high rate of spread and slope greater than 20. Okay. So for number 3, the answer is at the bottom of your selection. All right. Don't forget the AND operator specifies the feature that meets both of them. Okay. So it's really important for you to pay attention to these things. If you used or, it would be because you wanted to get one or the other. All right. Remember that. That's really important. You're going to need that down the road. So now we have a team of geologists from the USGS who want to know if slope failure or liquefaction during an earthquake can happen. So slope failure is when you have like a landslide or a rock slide. Liquefaction is when the earth literally turns into like hot lava and everything sinks down into it. It's really common in the Pacific Northwest. And when the earthquake stops, it hardens back up. And so things are just stuck down in the ground. It's kind of crazy. So the geology feature class has 2 attributes that you can use for your analysis. So slop stab is the slope stability, and type is the geologic type of the polygon. So we're going to go ahead and clear the features because we're looking at something different now. So let's clear that. And we want to add the geology database. We want to add geology to the vegetation map and make it the only visible data set. Okay, so back to ArcGIS, right click, add to current map. I'm going to close vegetation and turn off that layer. I'm going to go ahead and click save so I don't lose it. I want to select all the features where the slope stability is poor or the geologic type is artificial fill. Okay, so back to GIS. I want to select by attributes. So I don't have to open the table. I just always do because I like to see what I'm doing. Select by attributes. We want to slope stability is poor. So slope stability is poor. Okay. And the other one is geologic type is artificial fill. So this way we're going to do or geologic type. Which one is geologic type? Geology or geometry D. See which one is it? Type. Okay. So we always have to triple check your stuff is equal to artificial fill. All right, so and or go ahead and apply. We made sure that this is geology up here. Click OK, cool. So now I'm going to change the selection color to Mars red. Right. So I'm going to right click on geology, go to symbology. Single symbol is that. Fine, I'll just change it to properties, outline color. I'm going to change it from gray to Mars red. Did it want, what is it saying here? Oh, it's like purple background, doesn't matter. So it's just basically the selection. Okay. Oh, it wants us to do this selection. Never mind. Okay, cancel that. So we're going to go to properties. So that's something different. It's not symbology. We're going to find where it says selection. There we go. So use the selected color to specify. This is when you choose an alternate color. And we are going to choose Mars red. How do I know which one it is? I hover. Mars red. There we go. Now I'm going to click apply and click OK. So now you can see that my selection tool is now bright red. So if you can't see this, you can change it back to a different color. I think you just have to Probably take a screenshot. Yep. So you have to take a screenshot of this entire thing. So you're going to want to make sure you zoomed out so you can see the whole square of the geology and take a nice big screenshot of all of your stuff. Turn that in. Cool. Now I am on part 3. So I want to export these records. You can create a layer file. You can do a subset. A lot of times I do this in data stuff because I don't need everything in there. So you can export it and create a completely new feature class out of the data that someone gives you. A lot of times you'll have like gigabytes of data and you don't need all of it. So this is how you do that. So we're going to clear the features and go back to the vegetation. So clear, close, turn vegetation on and geology off. I'm going to click save. We are going to select the records whose vegetation type is grassland. So step by step here, vegetation, attribute table, select by attributes. Vegetation is equal to grassland. Right, just double check my work. Yes. Okay, and then I'm gonna click OK. And now we have those selected. Select the registry. Yeah, create a new feature class by right-clicking on the vegetation layer and selecting data, export features. So export features is a tool, okay? So you're gonna right-click, you're gonna go to data down here, then you're gonna click export features. It's gonna open up this export features tool. You don't want to just give it vegetation export features. You're going to want to call this like grassland or something. I don't know what the manual says, I have to look, but normally when you do something like this, you want to make sure it makes sense. See how I didn't change, I only changed this part. I left the Lab4 geodatabase and the file pathway complete. Oh yeah, we're gonna call it grassland, okay? Cool. So once that's done, you're gonna see how it's using the selected records, yes. Click OK. And now you have a brand new, why didn't it change to, rude. Usually when you put the name in there, it does it correctly. So what do you do if you don't like this and you don't want it to? You just remove it over here and see how it's still over here. So I can right click and I can delete it from my catalog. Yes, sure. Do that. I'm going to do it again. Say vegetation. I'm going to right click, data, export features, vegetation. This to be called grassland. I don't have to worry about filtering, but if you need to, so you can do it here. Then I'm going to click OK. See, now it worked properly. Now it's called grassland. So I can turn off the old vegetation layer and you can see just the grassland layer that is there. So save that because I'm not sure what I'm doing here. We're going to change the grassland feature class to grass2 symbology and place it on top of the vegetation feature class in the contents pane. Okay, so first we're going to change the symbology. So I'm going to clear this, close that out, right click, go to symbology. Probably means the color. So I'm going to change the color here to apple, green, blue. Try to find grassland. So fun. Oh, moss, lotus, forest. Just fun trying to find these. Spruce. Come on, it's grass. It's brilliant. Seeing the greens. I can also go to more colors and I can open it here and I can type in grass and hit enter. Oh, that's nice. Nothing is smelling. That's helpful. see, what is it saying? It wants it to be grass too. So, that's two. Suck. So yeah, see, sometimes this is frustrating. Let's try. On screen. What's the? Not very fun trying to find things. Nope, that's two. Nope. Okay, well, I officially hate you, and I'm gonna pick leaf green. All right, there it is, leaf green. So now it wants us to put this on top of vegetation, like so. So now you can see the difference. Go ahead and click save. If somebody finds a grass green, share. Okay, so we cleared the selection and you can zoom to the spatial extent of the vegetation feature class. So right click, zoom to layer. See, this is the spatial extent here. Okay. Go ahead and take a screenshot of your entire ArcGIS Pro interface. So what's the point of creating this new feature class? Like I said, when you have a big, huge data set, you don't want to have to be dealing with it. So you want to just take out the pieces that you want. Otherwise, it slows GIS down a ton. What if we want to just look at basic statistics about the vegetation data set? It tells you what type is in each polygon, and you're interested in the vegetation except for successional scrub. So you just don't want that one, you want everything else. So make sure all your records are clear. And then we're going to do select by attributes from the vegetation, not the grassland vegetation. Okay, so right click, attribute table. I'm going to select by attributes. I'm going to change my selection type back to new. I'm going to do vegetation again. So I'm going to do vegetation. Successional scrub. Okay, so it's just the backwards is equal to successional scrub, and that's the one that we don't want. So then there's a button called invert, and if you're not sure what it means, you can hover. It says basically, if you leave it unchecked, it'll pull up all the vegetation that's equal to successional scrub. But if you check this box, it does the exact opposite. All right, so I'm going to invert, and I'm going to click apply, and click OK. So see, you can, successional scrub is not selected by doing that. Okay, how many records are there? It's down here. There are two ways to produce this attribute. Statistics, let's right click in the vegetation table, the rate of spread. So where's my rate of spread? Right click, and what kind of statistics am I going to do? It wants me to do select statistics. Okay, right click, statistics, explore, visualize, summarize. Let's see, what does explore do? You want to filter by selection. Let's see. We basically want to, a histogram will show the statistics. So first right click, a histogram displaying the distribution will appear below the map pane. Okay, so here's our distribution. You can, I think you can right click and open the histogram. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, all I did was I right clicked in the chart preview and it opened up some more data for me. This is a little bit different than it used to be. So we're going to call this just explore statistics. I think so. All right, hold on just a second. I am seeing this as we go. Okay, explore statistics. a histogram, click properties button at the top left of the chart interface, and it will display your summary statistics. So up here, so this has changed also on. Basically what happened was I clicked right click here and I did open histogram. Okay. So you can see how to do that. Histogram, it opened the histogram down here, and then here is your data set, right? So here's the mean, the median, standard deviation, so on and so forth. So what's our question? Now in the toolbar at the top of the chart, filter by selection, use this function to toggle the displays showing all the records and the selected records. So you can see selection, right? These are the ones that are not selected, and these are your selection. You can see the different colors. See toggling back and forth. Okay, if I click properties up here, I can also automatically open up this. See, here, I'll show you. If you click properties, it automatically opens up your statistics. Okay, so from the histogram, that's where you want to be. Now we can right click on the rate of change, or excuse me, rate of spread, and select summarize. That's the other option. So we'll close this, close, close, right click on, let's close that, right click and do summarize. So now it's giving you summary statistics. It's asking you what kind of things you want to look at. You can see that this field opens up. Let's set the statistics field to the rate of spread. Make sure there's nothing in the case field. Selection, okay, for summary statistics. So we want spread, rate of spread, the mean. Okay, and then want to add rate of spread, standard deviation, rate of spread, standard deviation. Want to clear this, so make sure there's nothing in the case fields. All right. And then you're going to click OK. And you're going to wonder where your stuff went. Right. So look, all of a sudden over here on the left, you have a table. So you can right click and open it. And it gives you that data right there. So this is the other way of finding the mean standard deviation. Pretty sure the next question is, yeah, what's the mean rate of spread for this selection? Enter your answer to 2 decimal places. So here's your answer, and only go to there and make sure you round properly. Okay, so now we're going to make changes to the table. So we're going to create a whole new attribute, which is a really important thing to be able to do. We're going to use the field calculator, which is kind of cool. So go ahead and clear anything that we had. So clear and close. Make sure everything is clear. Go ahead and save your work. Let's see, open the attribute table for vegetation and click on the add button. So vegetation, attribute table. Up here on the far left side of the attribute table, it's called add a field. It's going to open what's called fields view here. That is going to allow you to see behind the scenes in your table. So you can see this is the new one. It just automatically goes to field, the field name, that's the computer reading name. And then the alias is what pops up on your map. So the alias can have spaces and stuff, but the field name cannot. All right. Let's see. So, oh yeah, there's other ways to do this. You can look and see, you go to the very top, click on table, click add, right? There's always more than one way to do things. Let's create a new attribute called fire index with the data type set to double and 2 decimal places. Okay, so fire index, you're going to type it in. You don't have to put an alias in here. This is supposed to be, what did it say? A double and 2 decimal places. So you just double click on that. It'll give you a drop down. You want your number format to be numeric. Let's see, 2 decimal places. See how I just did that? Okay. Click OK. Got it. So numeric, 3 dots. That's how I did my decimal places. now you've just added a new class. Okay, we have to hit save first. So what you want to do is so when you have the fields view open, there's a new map ribbon that pops and you click on that save. That's what actually saves your table. Okay. Since we're in here, it wants us to add another one. So we're going to you just click that bottom one. It gives you another line. Now you're going to add one called risk class, and that's data site text. Okay, so we're going to call this risk class. And this is text. And did it say anything about the length? Nope. And then treatment cost with the data set to double and 2 decimal places. Okay, so go back here. Oops, that thing called, gosh, my brain is tired. Treatment cost. Okay. Treatment cost, treatment cost. This one is double, right? And 2 wants to be numeric and 2 decimal places. Nope, nope. Okay, is that it? Make sure we click the saves button. Make save. Cool. Once it's been saved, I can close this table. I can click the big save. If you're wondering where your new columns are, they're always all the way at the end. And so you can see, because I didn't give it an alias, it just automatically takes what I typed in for the field name. All right. So let's see, what do we do next? So now we're going to calculate these values, because right now you see it says null. So we have to go in there and calculate them. So hang tight for a second here. All right. So let's see. I'm going to calculate, scroll to the right of the table until we find the fire index. Okay. So fire index, cool. Now I'm going to right click and select calculate field. Right click, calculate field. All right, this opens a new toolbox. Oh, this looks familiar. This is the kind of stuff that we practiced in class. Okay, so it's a Python expression. This is the input table. That's what we're working on. The field name is the column here. Okay, and then we're going to create an expression. So you don't have to type it out. As you can see, you can use all of these things here. You can insert values. Here is multiplication, division, adding, subtracting, and equal sign. Okay, there's all kinds of ways to do this in here. I'm just showing you. We can also change this from Python to Arcade, SQL, etc. Usually defaults to Python for now. So let's see what it wants us to do. Okay, so we calculated the field. I'm going to scroll down. There are several fire hazard severity indicators in the vegetation class. We have flame length, so that's the height usually of the flame, class, so the fuel and the flammability, nope. And rate of spread. Okay, I'm going to close this. So that doesn't pop up anymore. You're going to use 3 indicators to compute a single fire hazard called fire index according to the following formula. So square root of flame length times flame class times rate of spread. This equation computes the square root of the product of these 3 factors. So I'm just going to copy this because there's no reason to not do that. Right click, copy, less typing, paste. Okay, click apply. Cool, looks like it worked. Calculate field is completed. Okay. Oh, look, and I have a whole bunch of calculations in here. All right. If you type things in, which sometimes you'll have to, but if you make a mistake in your code, that's when you have problems and you'll get an error and it won't work and you'll be mad or whatever. You just have to go back and check your stuff. Okay. You can type it manually, but seriously, just you can also double click. I should have probably done that for you here. So if you right click and calculate field, you can also do things like math. You can find math in here. Then math should be square root. Here it is, math down here. So see, you could just double click on it and it would put it in here. All right, and then I would do, parentheses, and then flame length, I would select from over here, okay? And that's how you can build your calculation. Click save. As my fire index is already calculated. After we ran it, right, now it's populated. So question 8, the largest fire index value is what? So how do I figure that out? I right click and I do sort descending, and it tells me which one the largest one is. And look at that, there's an answer. What's the smallest non-zero? I just go to the bottom because it's not that many, and look, there it is. And there's an answer. Cool. So now we're in part 5. We're going to do symbology. We just calculated the values and we want to change the symbology so it makes sense, right? We're going to do a choropleth map based on the fire index attribute. All right. So we're going to go to the vegetation symbology and do graduated colors with fire index, natural breaks, and 7. Okay. So vegetation symbology, close this so it's easier to see. I'm going to do graduated colors. My field is not vegetation, it is the class I just made, which is fire index, natural breaks, but I'm going to do 7. And yellow to red is really common. And that's fine for this particular lab. Let's see, hint the color names. Oh yeah, turn on the color names. So you can go here and click show names. Do yellow to red. Go. It's already on that one. Cool. Change the outline color to black and the outline width to 1 point. Okay, so go to the template here and outline color is black and the width is 1 point. And click apply at the bottom. So now you have a much more pop to the map. Okay. So choose yellow to red, blah, blah, blah. Zoom to the spatial extent of the vegetation feature class. So basically you right click, zoom to layer. You should be there already. And this is what it looks like. Okay. Make sure it's the only visual data set. So I still have grassland turned on, so I need to turn that off. So now I will take a screenshot of this and turn it in so that I get my points. I'm going to go ahead and click save so that I don't mess with that. As you can see, because we chose only 2 decimal places when we built fire index, it automatically populates that way in your contents pane over here. You don't have to go back and mess around with it. It's pretty nice. All right, let's do some more. We're going to classify fire risk within the park. So we have 3 risk categories, low, medium, and high, based on the fire index value. Okay, so we're going to create 3 different classes. We're going to calculate them and use a subset to specify the risk for each of the records. Okay, so we're going to do this 3 times. We're going to start with low, then we're going to do medium, then we're going to do high. So first, we're going to select the records from the feature class where the fire index is less than 50. So right click, I'm going to look at my attribute table because that's what I like to do. I'm going to select by attributes. I'm going to look at fire index is less than 50. Okay, apply and then click OK. So it's selected. Cool. Now what am I supposed to do? Represents the vegetation stand with the lowest fire risk in the park. Use the calculate field tool to assign them a risk value class of low. Note, use the double quotes around text, okay, in the value parameter. For example, low, okay? And then if we do it right, in the risk class column, it should say low, all right? So let's do calculate field over here. So go to risk class, right click, calculate field, and we're going to erase this old one. So this is risk class equals low. Because it's text, you have to put it in the right parentheses, or quotations rather. Click OK. And I click apply and then OK. Cool. So now all the highlighted ones say low, and then the unhighlighted ones don't have anything in it. Cool. I'll go ahead and click save since I just did something. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for medium and high, where medium occurs for fire index between 50 and 150. Okay, and high is greater than 150. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to risk class. I'm gonna calculate field. I'm gonna do, oh yeah, wait, I have to, that won't work. I gotta clear this. First, I need to select by attributes. Fire index is greater than 150. I do the high one first, I think, so that'll be easier. Greater than 150. Okay, apply. And okay, I need to do that. That's weird. Clear. Clear. Oh, click save. I'm going to right click, selection. No, right click attribute table. I'm gonna select by attributes and I want fire index. It's greater than 150. Okay. So fire index that's up higher than 50. Oh, did I not do the first one correctly? Let's see. Values less than 50. Whoops, I messed that one up. Shoot. All right, I go back. Gotta do this again. Clear. Select by attributes. Fire index is less than 50. 50. Y. Okay. Now I go to risk class. Calculate field. Where risk class is low, using the selected. Apply. Okay. Why is the fire index 775? So something weird is happening. Huh. Oh, I forgot to change the thing. Okay, so select by attributes, and I still have the invert thing checked. Duh. So uncheck that, click apply. Okay, now I do risk class, calculate field. Now I apply. That's better. Why did these all say low? Well, now I'm gonna have to go back and fix this. Okay, so now we're gonna clear, select by attributes. I want the fire index greater than 150. 150. Why? Okay, and for those, calculate field for the vegetation using selected records. This one is going to be high. Okay. Okay. Cool. That looks right. Right. So low, high. Okay. Fine. Close enough for right now because I messed it up the first time. So clear. Now I have to pick the ones that are between. So it's greater than or equal to 50 and less than or equal to 150. So that's a little bit different, right? So right click. Okay. Oh, no. First I do select by attributes. Fire index is greater than or equal to 50. Or is it and? Fire class. Fire index is less than or equal to 150. Meaning it's and or. Let's see what happens when we do and. Oh, okay. Quite a few. Good guess, right? All right. So you just have to kind of figure it out in your head which way it'll work the best. All right. You're not always going to remember. So we're going to call this medium. I want to make sure it's the selected records. Cool. Medium. Medium. Apply. Okay. So high, medium, low. Cool. I'm going to save that so that it doesn't get messed up. Let's go back to our manual. So we've done that. Cool. So now we're going to do an economic analysis. You could specify 3 classes. You'll calculate it using to create this classification. Since there are 3 categories, you'll need to repeat the following steps. All right. Do we change the symbology yet? No. Okay, I'm gonna clear my selection because I don't want to start messing things up. Okay. Economic analysis. You read a journal article that quantifies fire mitigation treatments costs. Suppose the article is a general cost, so schedule for treating the vegetation stands in the low, medium, and high fire risk categories, like what we just did. Low risk costs $50 a hectare, medium is $100 a hectare, and high is $200 a hectare to treat. So now we're going to calculate treatment cost, and you will have to construct 3 queries, one for each risk class value, and a corresponding calculation for each selected set of selected records based on the pricing scheme described above. Remember to check the units for vegetation feature class before making this calculation. You'll need to apply a conversion factor into your equation to compute the correct treatment cost. As an alternative, you could also create a new area field to facilitate the process with the correct units, in this case, hectares. So this is where we don't tell you what to do. All right, so let's think about this. I'm working in vegetation. I'm going to open up my attribute table. How do I figure out the area? Well, we know it's shape area, but shape area we know is in meters squared. So how would we figure out hectares? So for my brain, a lot of times this is what I would do, is I would go to add, I would write hectares area, just because it'll help my brain. The data type is going to be double. I'm going to make sure it's numeric. And sure, I'll do 2 decimal places. Okay, fine. Cool. Then I'm going to click save. Awesome. So now how am I going to calculate that? I close this. I click save on my big map so I don't lose it. So how do I calculate meters squared into hectares? I don't know, but I can look it up, right? So I'm going to look up how many hectares, or vice versa. Hold on. Let's see. So how many hectares? I'm looking this up. Meter or vice versa, I guess you can look it up, right? Google has a transformation. So there's 1 hectare equals 10,000 square meter. So 1 meter squared equals 0.0001 hectares. Oh, how fun for us. Okay, so shape area into hectares area. Okay, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to calculate this field. So let's see, I don't want this anymore. So hectares area equals shape area. What do I do to that? So let me think about this for a second. I'm writing things down because this helps me think. How do I do the math for this? Because, it's abstract in front of me. So we know we created double. We're going to calculate it. Let's see. So shape area, and we're going to divide it by 10,000. Okay. Make sure my numbers are on. You don't put commas or anything. And the reason we're dividing it by 10,000 is because it's 1 meter square per 10,000 hectares, right? So that's how we're going to get it done. And then I'm going to click apply. And okay. So now I have hectares per area. Cool, right? Okay. So that should be easy, and now I don't have to worry about adding that into my calculation. It'll just be like one less calculation to do. So if this part is tricky for you, I recommend making these columns to do the math a little bit easier. Okay, so now we have vegetation stands. Low risk is $50 a hectare. Okay, and then we have treatment cost. So Right click, calculate field. So how am I going to calculate treatment cost? So treatment cost equals $50 per hectare if it's low. So when let's see, could I just select all the low ones? Probably. Maybe I'll just do it that way because that seems a little easier. So risk class, select by attributes. I clear that. Do risk class is equal to low. I can do my drop down. Yep, equal to low. So I'm going to apply those, right? I just want the low ones, okay? And now I already have the hectares. And so I can click over here. I don't know why that's highlighted. Oh, it's because I right clicked on it. So now I'm going to right click on treatment cost and I'm going to calculate field. And what it automatically will do is it uses the selected records. So it already is using just the ones that are low. So now the treatment cost is 50 times hectares that I calculated. Hectares, okay? And apply. And okay, so treatment cost for the low is right here in dollars. Cool, huh? All right, so now I'm going to finish that for medium and high. What if I don't want to select it and I want to do something else, right? You can, but it's a bigger calculation. It's just smarter to do it this way. All right, so clear, select by attributes, risk class is equal to medium, apply, okay, treatment cost, calculate how much is the medium. They are $100 hectare. So now it's just per hectare. See, it's selected, apply. Okay, cool. See, now treatment cost is in here for medium. So now I clear it, select by attributes, is equal to high. See what I'm doing? Apply. Okay. And then I do treatment cost, calculate field. And I think it's 150, no, maybe 200, 200. Okay, so now we do 200. All right, click apply. And okay, so now I'm gonna clear this and you can see that I have a treatment cost for every single one. So I'm gonna go ahead and click save so I don't lose that because that was quite time consuming. So I calculated that. What's the total treatment cost for the entire area? The entire area of like the whole thing. Looks like that's probably the case. So right click, summarize, treatment cost, sum, put that in there and click OK. It's going to give us statistics. I'm going to open this, open, and the sum is 4632. See, is there an answer in there? Close. Pretty close, so that's what I would do. I would choose one of those. Maybe I need to change that number. 46342. 463. Oh yeah, it's right there. See, you got it. Okay, cool. Question 12. Now, what's the treatment cost just for the higher risk areas? Now, how do I do that? Select my attributes. Risk class is equal to high. Okay. Now I right click and I could calculate field and I could write sum. We can just do sum in here. Let's see. So it's in here. Trying to show you guys different ways of doing this. Math. It's in here. No. Okay. I'm gonna close out of this. Just right click and summarize. And we'll want to use the selected records, treatment cost. Sum, get rid of that. And okay, it's going to create a new statistics. Open up that table. And here's my sum of treatment costs for the selected ones, which was the high, and was at 25,478. And look at that, there's the answer. Okay, so now we're gonna map out some farms. So I'm gonna clear all my selections. I'm gonna close my stuff and save my map because I'm not sure what we're doing next. Now we're on part 7. So in the insert ribbon, we're gonna bring in a new map and we're gonna work on, let's see, different geographic areas. Oh, we have different projected coordinate systems that don't play well together. That's always fun. That's because we have a nationwide set and a base level data set. That causes problems all the time. So that's why we're practicing. So now for this part, we're going to go back to Vermont. So let's insert a new map and put on Vermont zip codes, dark gray canvas, zip code boundaries, and the Vermont USD zip code. Okay, so I go to map, insert, new map. Cool. Now I have a whole new map. It's all clean. I'm gonna go over here and let's see, one zip code boundaries, Vermont boundaries, and Vermont USDA zip code, which you can see is a table. So I'm gonna click save now that I have all 3 of those on the map. Oh, dark gray canvas is my base map. Base map. Light gray, dark gray. Okay, cool. Dark gray is fun. What else am I supposed to do? Oh, we're going to name the new map Vermont zip codes. So slow click. Vermont zip codes. Why can I use spaces here? Because you can name things in the contents pane with spaces because you want your map to look nice. It's different over here in catalog. These cannot have spaces. This is what the computer is reading. This is like the extra special dressing over here. You can mess around with that. The computer doesn't care. All right, so your interface should look a lot like the image below. Mine's a different color, that's fine. It's totally okay. At the minimum, you should definitely have the vegetation map pane. We need a vegetation map pane. Oh, and the Vermont zip codes map pane visible. So you can see it. You can see all the cool stuff. All right, so yes, this is what it looks like. Vegetation, Vermont zip codes. I have the layers. You can see my catalog because I like to keep it open. All right, in this part of the lab, we're going to join data sets. So remember, we practiced this a little bit in class. We're going to talk about this in a second. Just 1 second. All right, so we're going to join the USDA table, which is called Vermont USDA zip code that we put in here to the zip code boundaries feature class. Remember, we put tables into feature classes. We don't put feature classes onto tables, okay? Because tables have to be turned into feature classes to go onto a map. So a join is putting them together, and we have to find a key field. Remember the common field, and it can't be object ID or shape area. So most of the attributes within zip code boundaries are demographic or socioeconomic indicators because they're from the Census Bureau. You want to include the information in analysis of agricultural data. So we have Vermont USDA zip codes, which is USDA is part of the Department of Ag, right? And they have a data set. So it doesn't have any spatial information, so it can't get mapped on its own. But if we add it together and include the zip code attribute named zip, or using the attribute code named zip, we should be able to put them together, I think. So the zip code boundaries feature class also has something called zip. And so because it's common, it's a key, right? Now we can make a join. So this is a lot like what we did in class where we had 3 different data sets and you were looking for a common one. If you didn't have one, you could create it, but you'd also have to create data to go with it. So it's a little tricky. So this way we gave you one that has a common commonality somewhere, right? So there is a problem though. The zip code attribute in zip code boundaries has a data type of text, while the zip code attribute in Vermont USDA zip code table is numeric. And why is this a problem? Well, it doesn't work, right? So if you look at the zip attribute in the Vermont USDA zip code table, so let's look at that. Open. The zip is 4 numbers. Okay, is there something else? Okay, zip codes are usually more than that. Zip code boundaries, what does that look like? Great, there's zip ID, zip only 2 digits, zip 5 digits. Oof. See, this is the problem when you're working with census data. There's always something funky like this that you have to mess around and figure out. Okay, so that's all demographic data. So this is real data, and that's why it's a little tricky. Okay. It's because the leading zero has been dropped and it's stored as a numeric attribute. It doesn't, ArcGIS doesn't recognize a zero. It's kind of pain. So they don't have to be the same, just the data has to be the same. Okay. So we're going to walk through these steps that you're going to kind of go through doing a new attribute field that we just did, and then you're going to join the data. Okay. So we are calculating the value of a new attribute using concatenation, and then we're going to join the non-spatial data to the spatial data, and then we're going to create a big map. Okay, so first we're going to open up the USDA zip code table, and we're going to add a new field called zip text. Okay, so USDA zip code, new field called, what was it called? Now my brain isn't working. Zip text, and we're going to set the alias to zip code. So ZIP, no spaces. And in the alias, though, we can do CF space CODE. Okay. I'm going to make sure that's text because I want it to match. Worry about number format. I'm going to click save so I don't lose that information. Let's see. As illustrated below, we need to calculate the values of zip text equal to 0 plus str zip, the plus combines the concatenates the string 0 with the zip attribute values. Okay, so the string field name function in this case is zip. So that's the one that we're using. And it will convert the numeric data type to text. Okay, because we needed them to match. So we're going to calculate field for our new field that we just created. All right, so I'm going to show you now that I've walked you through and said weird words. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to scroll to the end. I'm going to right click and calculate the field. Okay, I'm going to pull up my lab manual so I don't screw this up, right? So it's Vermont, USDA zip code, Python. Python is fine. Okay, I know it says Python 3, but that's just because ArcGIS is updated. In the zip text, I'm going to just copy and paste from here so that I don't mess it up. I have to get rid of the period, but that's fine. Paste, okay? Right, like that. I'm going to click apply and click OK. So now all of a sudden I have a zip code with a 0. So see here on the far left, it's zip. And it's just, it doesn't have a 0, but over here it does. So that's how you do that. So basically, when you calculate field 0 plus the string, which is this is the string of zip. Okay, so if I wanted to add a 0 in front of anything, this is how I would do. Okay, do it. And believe me, you have to do this often. So now you can see that there are 5 digits and they have a 0 in front of it. So now we're going to join the non-spatial table, which is this USDA table, to the zip code boundaries. We can right click on zip code boundaries and select joins and relates and then do an add join. So zip code boundaries, joins and relates, do an add join. You can also do it up here. Tools are all over the place, remember? Okay, it's already yelling at us. So the input field is going to be input table is our zip code boundaries. We want our input join, our input field to be zip. We want to make sure it's just ZIP, not zip underscore. Okay, there's 2 different ones. Make sure you pay really close attention and do the correct one. The join field, however, is the new one that we just created called zip code. All right. So make sure everything's good. We want to keep all the target features. Now listen, I always validate my joins because I want to see if it's going to work before I do it. So you can see there's a 1-to-1 join that has matched 199 records. Good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. How do I know if anything happened? Well, we put this table, this table onto this feature layer. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to right click on this feature layer, open up the attribute table, and I'm going to look and see if it's on here. How do I know? Well, because, you know, I would have looked. Oh, look, see where it starts, object ID, total farm. There we go. There's our information. There's our zip code. Why does it say null? Well, because in this table, there was something in Orleans County that was not, you know, recorded over here, so there wasn't a perfect match. Okay, but that's okay. It's okay to have some null values. So go ahead and save it. We just looked to see what was joined. Okay, the woodlot 100 attribute provides a count of the number of farms in the zip code with the woodlot more than 100 acres. So we're going to symbolize the zip codes using the woodlot 100 attribute with a 5-class graduated color scheme called natural breaks, which we've been using. Some of these are going to appear as blank, the ones that are null, okay, and that will be okay. All right, so let's do zip code boundaries, right click, symbology. Then we're going to symbolize it with graduated colors. We're going to change the field to, remember, what did we decide? Woodlot 100, okay. We want natural breaks. Did it say how many? With a 5-class, okay. Graduated color scheme. Okay, cool. Why can't I see anything? Because I still have county boundaries on there, right? So now you see your map. Cool. Question 13, list the 5 class breaks, the upper end of the lowest to highest. To be clear, if the value range displayed is 20 to 29, you would enter 29 for that range. Please report integer values of the 5 class breaks. Okay, so this is your class break setup, right? 3, 8, 15, 27, 71. All right, go ahead and click save. You're going to enter those into question 13. Question 14, there are how many zip code boundary polygons that did not have corresponding records in the agricultural data table? How am I supposed to answer that? Huh. Okay, let's see. Well, these are upper and lower values. Can I do show count? Okay, that's count, but that still doesn't show me show values out of range. There we go. See, out of range would be that those null. See, now they're grayed out. So there's this many. Okay, so you're going to answer that. 14. Once you've answered those, remove the join, connecting the data. Okay, so we're going to go zip code boundaries, joins and relates, remove join. Okay, cool, because we don't want them connected anymore. And click on that and click OK. So it splits the table again and click save. All right, now we're going to do map layout. Cool. All right, so we're going to create a new summary table that includes information on the total number of house units, and how many of them are vacant. It's called house vacancy. So we want to display a percentage of vacant housing units. We're going to have to create a field called percent vacant to store the value of the percent of total number of housing units that are vacant within each zip code. The key part of this is the new attribute field using the proper data type when creating percent vacant attribute. Also make sure to set the field to numeric. So now we're going to create a new table to summarize percent vacancy by county data with county FIPS called zip code boundaries mean percent vacant. You did something earlier like this, part 3, step 12. Only this time your summary calculation will use county FIPS as the case field. So the table should look a lot like this below. So I'm making a new table. Interesting. So I know I'm using zip code boundaries and I want to create a whole new table. How would I do this? Let's think. If it says to go back to part 3, step 12, I can go back up here, find part 3. Oh, there's part 3. Okay. Okay, so summarize. I summarized my statistics. Okay. Oh, and I created a table. That's right. All right, so now I'm going to scroll back down. I go to the bottom where I was. Okay, so I want to create a new field. So first, percent vacant. Okay, so first I want to go to zip code boundaries, right click, attribute table. Pretty sure I'm going to add a new field. Okay. And then I want it to be called percent vacant. Percent vacant. And it needs to be double. Say double. How many PP proper data type? Also make sure to set the field to numeric, right? So we want to make sure this is numeric. Okay. Put down the 2 decimal places because otherwise it's annoying. Also make sure, yeah, next you're going to create a new table summarizing this. So first we have to calculate this. So we want the percentage, which is how many units total and how many houses are vacant. So we probably have to calculate that. So I'm going to click save so I don't lose that. I'm going to close it, go all the way to the end. Now I want to calculate this field. Right, so percent vacant equals what? Equals vacant houses divided by total houses, right? Because that's what it would be to figure out the percent. So housing something, housing vacant divided by, double click, divided by housing occupied. Is that correct? Yep. Oh, no, housing units, not housing occupied. Housing units, right? So vacancy divided by total units, that should give you a percentage. Certain rows will null because there wasn't any information. Fine, cool. Okay, so this gives you percent vacant. Actually, we should probably recalculate that and do times 100. So that's an actual percentage, right? So put some parentheses around this. Parentheses and then times 100. So that way it's an actual whole number percentage. Otherwise, it might get a little funky. Okay, so now you have 40.1% vacant. Okay, cool. So that's fine, that'll work. Now, what do they want us to do? So we already did that. It's numeric, right? So now we're going to create a table to summarize the percent vacant data by county. So how did I do that again? I summarized the data. Is that what I did? I summarized it. And what's the question? Vacant data by county. Called. Think about this. So in your summary calculation, you'll use county FIPS as the case field. So case field, we're going to use county FIPS. Okay. Percent vacant. Summarize. Okay. By FIPS. And it should look like, oh, mean percent. So not some, but mean. Okay, so mean percent by county FIPS. We're going to call it mean percent vacant. So we're going to change this. Zip code boundaries. Percent vacant. No spaces. Okay. So it looks like here. Yep, close enough. Okay. Oops, stop that. All right, okay. Now you have a new table. Yeah, there's some null values. It's telling me, yeah. Let's open up that table and boom. Okay, county FIPS, frequency, mean percent vacant. Score, high five to myself. I did it. I'm going to click save and let's see, what am I supposed to do next? So one more join, and then it's time for a nap. I mean, a map. Yeah, it's a long lab. It's okay. So now we're going to add Vermont County boundaries to our map pane. Oh, I already did that. We're going to join this zip code boundaries mean percent vacant to it on the county FIPS and county attributes respectively. Think about which data set to initiate the join from. We want to put the table on Vermont County boundaries, right? So right click, joins, add join. Input field is, wait, it just told us like county, right? And then this one is zip code boundaries mean percent and county FIPS. Is that what it said? I think so, right? County FIPS and county. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and join it. Validate your join. Cool. Okay, and click OK. Awesome. So now we know that Vermont County boundaries has an attribute table, and we have added mean percent vacancy. Awesome. Let's plot it using a 5-class graduated color scheme with a yellow to green color ramp. Okay, so right click, symbology, graduated colors, percent vacant, right? No, not vacancy, percent vacant. Is that what it says? Yep. Yellow to green color ramp. So yellow to green. Yellow to green. Yep. It continues. It doesn't matter. It's the same because there's 5 sections. So you can probably use yellow to green, 5 or continuous. Okay. Turn off all the other data, including the base map. So the only thing we see is Vermont County boundaries. So turn off this other stuff. Okay. So now we just see the Vermont County boundaries. Cool. For the next section, it's really helpful to go back and make sure you remember how to make a layout. If you can't remember, you may want to pause and go back and check that out. We're going to create a layout of this cool Vermont County boundaries map. We want it to be a portrait with credits. In general, the maximum value of your scale bar should be a factor of 10. Remember, we talked about this. There are obvious exceptions to this rule when you're doing something really small, but your maximum value should never be like a weird number, right? It needs to be divided by 5s or 10s. Okay, so your final map layout should look something like down here. Okay, I will walk you through all these steps. Don't worry. Don't worry, look at this. Ooh, okay, so I think my map looks okay. So now I just have to do the rest of it. All right, map layout. So scroll back up here. Whew, thank goodness we're almost done. Right, it's a long one. All right, so let's go back here. We're gonna insert a new layout. I want this Yanzi portrait. It's gonna open up, cool. Now I wanna do a map frame. That's right, map frame. I don't want that. I want this one, Vermont zip codes. I'm gonna make a, you know, if I was smart, I would have done the bars. Shoot. Well, I'm just gonna do it quick. Okay, do it like that. Kind of eyeball the stuff on the sides. All right. So here's the deal. You know, don't forget you can go up here and you can make those little lines, the guidelines, and sometimes that's nice. You can totally do that if you want. But I just eyeballed it because I'm tired. Let's see. Oh, fine. Add guides. Do your guides. Okay. Right click. No, so click up here. Let's right click, add multiple guides. I need both. 1 inch. Okay, there. Now it added guides. Okay, so now I can go to here. Just move it over a little bit. So it was pretty close. Save. Cool. Now we draw a map frame. We selected the right one. We're going to activate it, and we're going to zoom to 1.1 million. All right, so how do I activate it? Do I click on it? No, that just is the box. So I go up here to map frame and I click, where is it? Where's my activate button? Layout, activate. Okay, so now I can zoom in and out. So do I zoom in and out like that? No, I just click this and I go to one and that. All right, that doesn't look very nice though. Like that. Do a little bit. That's so weird. Like that. It's like cuts off the lot, doesn't it? Kind of looks funny. I don't, oh, 70%, that's why. Okay, change my percentage to 70, so type it in. That'll work. 70%, stop it. 70%, 1, 2. Oh, it looks kind of funny like that. I mean, that's, yeah, it's cutting off the whole part of my thing. Okay, I'm gonna change this to 75%. No, 50%. No, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, so I don't like that. Why is it so zoomed out? Huh, I'm gonna go back to my Vermont zip codes and I'm gonna change it here, see if that makes a difference when I go to my layout. It cuts off the bottom of my map. Does it do that in this one? Nope. Use it to shrink, okay? Make sure that you close the activation when you're done, because you want your map to look like this. So I think what I need to do is make these things bigger. So I'm gonna kind of drag this out. Yeah, I'm gonna drag it out to like 1/2 inch there. And this one is gonna go to 1/2 inch here. And then this one, where's the other one? This one, add a guide, and I'm going to drag it to 1/2 inch here. Nope, stop that. Now I want to go to layout, close activation. So now I'm working on this part of the map. Make it bigger. Hopefully this will work. See, there's all kinds of ways to fix things, okay? So now I go to layout and I click activate and I move Vermont around. Zoom out just a little bit. Just make sure you can see all of Vermont, okay? You have to play with it a little bit, all right? And you still need to leave room for making your title and everything. So this is why layouts take a while. All right, let's go back up here and see what it wants us to do next. Okay, so now I'm going to do a scale bar, layouts, properties. Okay, fine. So over here in my Vermont zip codes, I want to change this, right? This looks kind of gross. So I'm going to go and change my format label. So I right click on symbology, basically, and I go to any decimal places, actually. That looks much cleaner. All right. And I'm going to go back to the layout. Good. Looks the same. I'm going to add little percentages to that. So there's a way to do it in here. Decimal places, show privacy. Nope. Let's see. To kind of click around and find things. I never remember where everything is. I always have to do this. So display features. Fun. We'll play around with this in a second. So I think maybe I have to do it in my legend. So let's see, I want to go to my layout, close activation so I don't mess up my map. I want to add a north arrow. You can pick any north arrow you want. This just happens to be the one that was, or that I'm gonna put it over here. That's cool, sure. I need a scale bar. Let's see, I'm gonna look up how wide is Vermont before I do this. How wide of miles is Vermont? I'm Googling this. separately, it's 90 miles wide at the northern border. Okay, so that helps you kind of figure out like how many miles you want to use. You can pick any scale bar that you want, doesn't matter. So I picked this one and I say I put it like right here. Okay. It has a weird number, 19 miles. When I stretch it, it goes to 20. Okay, but does that make sense? So it says it's 90 miles. So 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. I mean, that's okay, right? But it could be better or worse. So I'm just gonna put it here. Because that's where I like it to go. Sure, something different. Or I should probably put it inside my map frame, right? Because that looks a little funky. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll change the outline of my map frame and just put that down here. I might do that too. All right, I'm talking to myself. Now I want a legend. What kind of legend do I want? No idea. What does that look like? Okay. Cool. All right, interesting. So that's kind of ugly. Yeah, we definitely want to change that. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to slow click. And this is Vermont counties. Counties. To change this to percent vacant homes. See how nice that looks. Okay, I want those numbers to be percentages. How the heck do we do that? That's annoying. All right, now I'm in the legend, so I can click up here, and over here there should be a legend box. So let's see, right click, properties. Here we go, and it opened up my legend box. School. I do not need something that says legend. I don't like that. Actually, well, we have to write legend up here, but fine. But this does not need to have a name. Legend items, show properties. Okay, I want this to be wider, a little skinnier. See how you do that? Okay, a little shorter, a little higher. Okay, only show features. Okay. I want to show different colors. See, I can play around with this. Captures a line horizontally with the text above. See, you can make it play around with it like that. You can change it to vertical, and it's kind of sort of go back to default. That one. This is just for legend items. Okay, so now if I want labels, that's this here. So, okay, that's fine. 10.8. Let's see, what's fun in here? Word spacing, line spacing, paragraph, terminalization. So see, you can kind of play around with all this. Change the spacing if you want. Word labels is layer names. I can change this to be a little smaller. Apply. Or I can make it be a little bit bigger. Bold, font, bold. Okay, so that I don't want it to be like that. I want it to spread out. So how do I fix that? This formatting, letter spacing, line spacing. There's all kinds of fun things in here. Text direction, left to right. Block region. So you just have to kind of play around in here and see what you can do. You can make it different colors, right? If you wanted your the color of your words to be, say, dark blue, so you can be blue. You can change it to green if you want. Play around all kinds of cool stuff in here. There's lots of options. If you want it to pop, you can create an outline around your letters. That makes it a little hard to see, so you have to just be careful with things that you're doing and what they look like. If it's going to be printed or not. Legend item. So you can play around in here and change this over the place. So layer name and indent, heading, See how that changes a little bit, and now I can fix it so it's not so funky. Come on, let's make it go a bit better. Don't mind hugging over there. See, arrangement is cache label description. You can change it to something different, like label description patch. See, so these are all the different ways that you can play around with it. You can keep it in a single column. You know, if you have multiple columns, you can change it that way. We want to play with the group layer name, and I want it to be center. It's not letting me do an offset. X. See how it lets you play around. So I'm just going to keep playing with this. I also need to add a text box at the top. I can do graphics and text. I can do block letters. You can choose whatever you want. Usually single text is a pretty good one. You draw a box up here, and we're going to call this, what did it do? Mean percent housing vacancy in Vermont counties. Okay, cool. So call it percentage. Call it whatever you want, right? Okay. Done. You can to the center, you can play around with the font. Okay, see them here. Dynamic text, right? I can play with general. Oh, I can make it different sizes. I can go to my text symbol. I can make it bold. I can make it bigger. Cool. Click apply. All right, sounds good. You know, you can play around, do whatever you want. You can make these different colors. It just depends on what you want to do, what you think looks good or doesn't look good. It's all about cartography and playing with your stuff. You just definitely don't want it to go off the page like that. So I'm gonna move it back over here. Cool. I need to add my name, right? So I'm gonna put another text box. That over another little text box, straight text, and I'm gonna put it down here. Put by horn. Your own name, right? I can change the text symbol. It's only 7 point. That's really, really small. So I'm gonna go like 12. Click apply. See, now it's at least visible. Put that in the bottom corner. What am I missing? I need a citation, right? So how would I get my citation? First, I'm going to save my work so I don't miss it. The way you figure out your citation is by looking at the metadata. So I'm going to go back to Vermont zip codes, and I'm going to right click on the counties, and I'm going to look at the metadata, view metadata. And let's see if anything's in here. There's no tags. Well, that's really helpful, right? So I'm gonna close that, fine. How about Vermont counties properties? In here, any information? Wow. Well, that's a bummer, right? That's really important for you to have it. So what I'm gonna say is for this class, you're gonna say that the data was given to you, but what you can understand is the data source is actually Vermont Center for Geographic Information, as well as the Census Bureau. Okay, so you're going to type in and you're going to add another box. Let's see. You can write data citation. Yes, I know it's ginormous. I'll fix it in a second. Citation, Vermont. What is it called? Vermont something. Vermont Center for Geographic Information. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. text symbol. 7. Apply. Want center. Your nation and U.S. Census Bureau. Okay. Now this looks really funky. I need it to fit. How do I make that work? I do center. No, I put it over here. Yes, apply. Fine. Okay. Go over here. Here's my citation, but I don't want it to look like that. So I'm gonna make my box smaller. But all that does is see it changes the font size. That's not what I want. So I'm gonna look and see how to fix this. So indent the first line. Nope. See, this is the tricky part. I'm going to have it put in the center. I'm going to, okay, it's visible. Cool. So you can type in there too. I'm going to make the height much higher and the width much smaller. See, and then it'll fit much better. So we want this to be like, I don't know, 3 inches wide and 6 inches tall or something. See? Oh no. Oh no. 3, not 187, 3. There we go. Okay. We want this to be much higher, so we're going to make it taller. Stop that. Okay, prepared by Dorothy Horn. Cool. What else? We have the citation, who was prepared by, and oh, probably the date, right? So go ahead and put the date in here. What's today? February, or you can just put 2/8/26, right? Because that's when I'm doing it. Cool. So now it's done. I have my citation. I have my layout all done. Looks pretty good. Sure, has a title. I really want to get rid of those lines though. So how do I do that again? Remove all guides. There we go. All right. Okay, cool. So it has all the stuff that it's supposed to have in it. I'm going to look at this map. It still has percentages. How did they do that? Let's see. I'm going to go back and look. When I do my labels here, there has to be some kind of symbology. So symbology, normalization, these labels here. That percent sign. Percent sign. See how that works? Then it will be map. Change it. See, now they're on there. Cool. So now I have the title, the north arrow, the miles, the citation. I played around with this. I do want to change my legend a little bit, but I'm not going to make you watch me do that. So you can keep playing around with it. Look at how to do it. What's the last part? When you're done with it, you're going to export it as a web JPEG and insert your layout into Brightspace. Please go ahead and answer all these questions. How'd it go? What was frustrating? Did you run into any errors? Things of that nature. Again, it's up here, share, export your layout, and you're going to do a web JPEG right here. Okay. You're going to want to save it into your Lab4GIS folder so that you have it ready to go, and then put it up into your quiz. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Hopefully this was helpful. I know it's a very long video, and I will see you all in class.